Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Getting ready to become supernatural. I realize that writing this book is a risk for me and my reputation. There are certain people in the world, including some in the scientific community, who might call my work pseudoscience, especially after Becoming Supernatural makes its debut. I used to be overly concerned about those critics' opinions. In the early days of my career, I always wrote with skeptics in mind, trying to make sure that they would approve of my work. On some level, I thought it was important to be accepted by that community. But one day when I was standing in front of an audience in London, and a woman holding the microphone was telling her story about how she overcame her disease, how she healed herself through the practices I've written about in other books, I had an epiphany. It became very clear that those skeptics and rigid scientists who hold their own beliefs about what is possible aren't going to like me or my work no matter what I do. Once I had that realization, I knew that I had been wasting a lot of my vital energy. I was no longer interested in convincing that particular culture, especially those studying the normal and natural, about human potential. I was totally passionate about anything but normal, and I wanted to study the supernatural. I got very clear that I should give up my futile efforts to convince that community of anything and instead direct my energy to a whole other part of the population that does believe in possibility and does want to listen to what I have to share. What a relief it was to fully embrace that idea and to let go of any attempt to make a difference in that other world. As I listened to the sweet lady in London, who wasn't a monk or a nun or an academic or a scholar, I knew that in telling her story to the audience, she was helping others see some part of themselves in her. Those hearing her journey might then believe it would be possible for them to accomplish the same. At the point in my life where I am okay with people saying anything about me, and I certainly do have my flaws, but I know now, more than ever, that I am making a difference in people's lives. I say that with utter humility. I have labored for years in taking complex scientific information and making it simple enough for people to apply to their lives. In fact, in the last 4 years, my team of researchers, my staff, and I have gone through extensive strides to scientifically measure, record, and analyze these transformations in people's biology to prove to the world that common people can do the uncommon. This book is about more than just healing, although it includes stories of people who have made significant changes in their health and have actually reversed diseases, along with the tools you need to do the same. These accomplishments are becoming quite common in our community of students. The material you are about to read lives outside of convention and is not usually seen or understood by most of the world. The content of this book is based on an evolution of teachings and practices that have culminated in our students' ability to delve deeper into the more mystical of this. And of course, I am hoping it will bridge the world of science with the world of mysticism. I wrote this book to take what I've always thought was possible to the next level of understanding. I wanted to demonstrate to the world that we can create better lives for ourselves, and that we are not linear beings living linear lives, but dimensional beings living dimensional lives. Hopefully, reading it will help you understand that you already have all the anatomy, chemistry, and physiology you need to become supernatural, sitting latent within you, waiting to be awakened and activated. In the past, I hesitated to talk about this realm of reality because I feared it might divide an audience based on their own personal beliefs. However, I have wanted to write this book for a long time now. Over the years, I have had profoundly rich mystical experiences that have changed me forever. Those inner events have influenced who I am today. I want to introduce you to that world of dimension and show you some of the measurements we took in the studies we did in our advanced workshops around the world. I started collecting data on our students in these workshops because we witnessed significant changes in their health, and I knew they were changing their biology during the meditations in real time. We have thousands and thousands of brain scans that prove those changes were not just imagined in their minds, but actually took place in their brains. Several of the students we measured accomplished those changes within 4 days, the length of our advanced workshops. The scientific teams I've assembled have taken brain scan recordings using quantitative electroencephalogram EEG measurements before and after workshops, as well as real-time measurements during the meditations and practices themselves. I was not only impressed with the changes, but shocked by them. They were that dramatic. The brains of our students function in a more synchronized and coherent fashion after participating in the advanced retreats around the world. This increased This increased order in their nervous system helps them get very clear about a future that they can create, and they are able to hold that intention independent of the conditions in their external environment. And when their brains are working right, they are working right. I will present scientific data that shows how much their brains improved in just a few days, which means you can do the same for your brain. At the end of 2013, something mysterious started occurring. We started seeing brain scan recordings that puzzled the researchers and neuroscientists who came to our events to study my work. The high amount of energy in the brain that we were recording while a student was in certain meditations had never been recorded up until this point, and yet we were seeing these off-the-charts readings again and again. When we interviewed the participants, they reported that their subjective experience during the meditation was very real and mystical, and that this either profoundly changed their view of the world or dramatically improved their health. I knew in those moments that these participants were having transcendental experiences in their inner world of meditation that were more real than anything they had ever experienced in their outer world, and we were capturing those subjective experiences objectively. That has become a new normal for us now, and as a matter of fact, we can often predict when these high amplitudes of energy in the brain will occur based on certain indicators and signs that we have seen for years now. In these pages, I want to demystify what it is to have an interdimensional experience, as well as provide the science, biology, and chemistry of the organs, systems, and neurotransmitters that make this happen. It is my hope that this information will give you a roadmap for how to create such experiences for yourself. We have also recorded amazing changes in heart rate variability. That's when we know a student is opening their heart and maintaining elevated emotions like gratitude, inspiration, joy, kindness, appreciation, and compassion, which cause the heart to beat in a coherent fashion, that is, with rhythm, order, and balance. We know that it takes a clear intention, a coherent brain, and an elevated emotion, a coherent heart, to begin to change a person's biology from living in the past to living in the future. That combination of mind and body, of thoughts and feelings, also seems to influence matter, and that's how you create reality. And the reason why I'm reading this book is because, much like Dispenza's experience of feeling the divine within their bodies, this love, this blissfulness, is literally what I experienced during that session with my client in 2011. But I was working on his body. Working on his body. So, like I said before, I just felt my heart being very compassionate towards his depression state. And my heart being in that coherent place allowed for that information to come through. His father who had passed. But that bliss that I experienced throughout my whole body is exactly what Dispenza talks about. That happens. So if you're going to truly believe in a future that you are imagining with all your heart, let's make sure it opens and it's fully activated. Why not through practice and quantitative feedback? Get good at doing it and making it a skill. So we partnered with the Heart Math Institute, a sharp group of researchers based in Boulder Creek, California, who helped us measure the responses of thousands of our participants. It is our desire for our students to develop the ability to regulate an internal state independent of the conditions in their external environment, and to know when they are creating heart coherence and when they are not. In other words, when we measure those internal changes, we can tell a person that they created a more balanced pattern in the heart measurement, and that they are doing a great job and should keep doing exactly what they are doing. Or we can let them know they are not making any biological changes, and then give them the proper instruction and provide several opportunities to practice getting better at the process. That's what feedback does. It helps us know when we are doing something correctly and when we are not. When we can change some feeling or thought inside of us, we can see changes outside of us. And we observe that we did it correctly, we will pay attention to what we did and do it again. That action creates a constructive habit. By demonstrating how others perform such feats, I want to show you how powerful you can be. Our students know how to influence the autonomic nervous system, the system that maintains health and balance by automatically taking care of all our bodily functions, while we have the free will to live our lives. It is this subconscious system that gives us our health and gives life to our bodies. Once we know how to gain access to this system, we can not only make our health better, but we can also transform unwanted, self-limiting behaviors, beliefs, and habits into more productive ones. I'll present some of the data we have been collecting for years. We've also taught our students that when they create heart coherence, their hearts create a measurable magnetic field that projects beyond their body. That magnetic field is an energy, And that energy is a frequency, and all frequency carries information. The information carried on that frequency can be intention or thought that can influence the heart of another person at a different location by moving it into coherence and balance. I will show you evidence that a group of people sitting in a room together can influence others sitting at some distance in the same room to go into heart coherence at the exact same time. The evidence clearly shows that we are bound by an invisible field of light and information that influences us and others. Given that, imagine what can happen when we all do this at the same time to change the world. That's exactly what we are up to as a community of individuals who are passionate about making a difference in the future of this earth and the people and other life forms that inhabit it. We have created Project Coherence, in which thousands of people come together at the exact same time on the exact same day to increase the frequency of this planet and everyone who lives here. Sound impossible? Not at all. More than 23 peer-reviewed articles and more than 50 peace-gathering projects show such events can lower incidents of violence, war, crime, and traffic accidents, and at the same time increase economic growth. My wish is to show you the science of how you can contribute to the changing of the world. We have also measured the energy in the room during our workshops and watched how it changes when you have a community of 550 to 1,500 people raising their energy together and creating heart and brain coherence. We have seen significant changes time and time again. Although the instrument we use to measure this is not approved by the scientific community in the United States, it has been acknowledged in other countries, including Russia. In every event, we're wonderfully surprised by the amount of energy certain groups have been able to demonstrate. We have also assessed the invisible field of vital energy surrounding the body of thousands of students to determine whether they can increase their own light field. After all, everything in our material universe is always emitting light and information, including you. When you are living in survival mode under the burden of the hormones of stress, such as adrenaline, you draw from this invisible field of energy and turn it into chemistry. And as you do so, the field around your body shrinks. We discovered a very advanced piece of equipment that can measure the emission of photons, particles of light, to determine whether a person is building a field of light around them or diminishing their own light field. When more light is emitted, there's more energy and hence more life. When a person has less light and information surrounding their body, they are more matter and thus emit less vital energy. Extensive research proves that the body's cells and various systems communicate not only by the chemical interactions we are familiar with, but also by a field of coherent energy, light that carries a message, information that causes the environment within and all around the cell to give instructions to other cells and biological systems. We've measured the amount of vital energy that our students' bodies emit because of the inward changes they've made during doing our meditations, and I want to show you what changes they can create in only 4 days or less. Other centers in your body besides the heart are also under the control of autonomic nervous system. I call them energy centers, and what they're called chakras too. Each has its own frequency, its own intent or consciousness, its own glands, its own hormones, its own chemistry, its own individual little brain, and so its own unique mind. You can influence these centers, chakras, to function in a more balanced and integrated fashion. But to do that, you must first learn how to change your brainwaves so you can enter this subconscious operating system. In fact, moving from beta brainwaves, where the thinking brain is constantly analyzing and putting much attention on the outer world, to alpha brainwaves, which indicate you're calmly placing more attention on the inner world, is key. By consciously slowing your brainwaves down, you can more readily program the autonomic nervous system. Students who've done my various meditation practices over the years have learned how to change their brainwaves, as well as sharpen the type of focus it takes to be present long enough to produce measurable effects. We've discovered an instrument that can measure those changes, and again, I'll show you some of the research. We've also measured several different biological markers related to changing gene expression, a process known as making epigenetic changes. In this book, you will learn that you are not, in fact, beholden to your genes, and that gene expression is changeable once you begin to think, act, and feel differently. During our events, students leave their familiar lives for 4 to 5 days to instead spend time in an environment that doesn't remind them of who they think they are. In doing so, they separate themselves from the people they know, the things they own, the automatic behaviors that they demonstrate in their daily lives, and the places they routinely go, and they begin to change their inner states through 4 different types of meditations: walking, sitting, standing, and lying down. And through each one of these, they learn to become someone else. We know it's true because our studies show significant changes in our students' gene expression, and they've been reported significant changes in their health. Once we can show someone measurable results proving they truly have altered neurotransmitters, hormones, genes, proteins, and enzymes through thought alone, they can better justify their efforts and prove to themselves that they really are transforming. And I'm going to stop for now, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a blessed day or night.